It's time for breaking bread with Papa. Hey, don't you know? Hey, it's sourdough. Hey, it's time for breaking bread with Papa. Hey, don't you know? Hey, it's also a show.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Breaking Bread with Tom Papa. Thank you so much for being here. We have an amazing show for you today. Very funny comedian, an all-around good guy. Paul Virzi is on the program today. So funny, so great, so Italiano. And we have a great conversation that you're really going to enjoy about all food, tradition, life. It just takes so many deep dives in so many great directions. And I knew when I sat down with him on my way to the program that just bringing out some pepperoni and some Parmesan cheese, I would unlock the soul of Paul Virzi, and I did. It was very on point, and you'll hear why when we get into the conversation. You're really going to enjoy it. Thank you so much for being here. I'd also like to thank the people at Trade Coffee Partners with the country's best craft roasters. Trade Coffee. They hook up with all of the country's best craft roasters to give you the freshest and best tasting coffee. I did it. I went in, I gave them all of my coffee preferences, and they spit back these great coffee places from around the country, and then they send them to you. Very exciting. I love coffee, as you know, and what a great resource to just kind of consolidate it and get it to you. Trade customers are truly impactful for these independent roasters, supporting the local economy in small towns and big cities. Trade is offering new subscribers a total of $30 off your first order plus free shipping. That's more than 40 cups of coffee for free. Go to drinktrade.com. That's drinktrade.com/papa and take their quiz to find out the coffee you love. I was really impressed. I went in and I did the little thing, and I wasn't even really didn't know what to expect. And all of a sudden, this great little coffee shop that I had heard of in San Diego pops up, and now I'm going to get that coffee. Very cool. Thank you for being one of the sponsors on today's program. I also like to thank the good people at EveryPlate. EveryPlate is America's best value meal kit. While most meal kits come with a premier price tag, EveryPlate offers delicious dinners that won't break the bank. Try EveryPlate for just $1.79 per meal. That's up to a $104 value. Go to everyplate.com and enter the code PAPA179. Go to everyplate.com and enter the code PAPA179 and start getting great, affordable meals to improve your life. So Paul Virzi is a very funny comedian. You've seen him. Go to the YouTube if you haven't. He was part of Bill Burr Presents I'll Say This on the Comedy Central. He's touring all over the place. He's got dates coming up in Tampa and Buffalo and San Diego. He's just super funny. He has the Bill Burr seal of approval. I remember when Bill and him started working together years ago, and Bill actually introduced me to Paul. And Paul and I have had cigars in Montreal, and we've hung out a little bit, but to actually sit with him and be able to really get into his story, and it was one of those guys that you just have an instinct that you're going to be able to, with very little thought, just roll along into such a great conversation about family and food and the whole thing, all the stuff that we love. I mean, great comedian, great lover of food, great lover of family. It's a really good one. I really hope you enjoy it. He's so damn funny. So enjoy. Paul Virzi. All right, well, thanks for being here. This is really great.
Thank you for having me.
This was such a nice little treat to
Dude, you're the best.
to hear that you're coming in.
You're
now,
always so great to me.
I apologize.
Okay.
Because, and I will rectify this at some point.
Yeah.
But because we were doing this last minute, I didn't get to bake you bread.
Okay. All right.
So I know. So, but I did stop at my favorite Italian market.
Okay.
And I just decided let's just throw all Italian at you.
Okay. Yeah.
So you got some salami and some Parmesan. This is a bread you can eat now or take with you. And then
I really appreciate that.
And then as a backup, because
oh wow,
you know these right from your childhood.
Yeah, I mean, are you kidding me?
Oh, come on, right?
Oh my God.
Yeah, the Tironi.
You want to laugh? As soon as I got here and I said hi to you, I couldn't even take my eyes off the cheese. I saw you and I said hi and thank you, and then when you see a piece of cheese like this, because I grew up like this,
I know,
and it's impossible.
Exactly. So you're Sicilian as well, right?
My father's 100% Sicilian. So.
Do you remember? Do you know where in?
Yes, it's a village right outside of Taormina. Mm-hmm. Some of the beautiful beaches in the world.
Oh my God.
Okay, my grandmother came here from Sicily, 10 years old, didn't speak a lick of English, and you know, they just kind of settled in near the Bronx. And you know, the rest is history. But this is my dad's snack. Like there was no.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
no.
like my dad's snacks were meats and cheeses,
right?
Like where other people would be, other people would just have like. My dad's like, no, we're gonna have sharp provolone chopped up. There was like prosciutto and supersada.
Yeah, and maybe some olives.
Yeah, and you know, olives with garlic.
Yeah,
and then he would get the mozzarella balls in the water. And that would be
just eat them.
So I would be like 10, and my friends would be like, what is that? Like
opening up your lunchbox, taking out a white napkin.
That's the best part about being Italian is your palate and taste buds so young.
I know.
You're hitting these things that like how many 8-year-olds are eating prosciutto on a like kids have fruit roll-ups. I know. Your hands are greasy.
I took a picture. Let me show you. Because this thing, like whenever anybody tells me like you should like be vegetarian or you should not eat certain things or whatever, it's like this beats all of it. When you walk into that Italian deli and the cheeses and the pepperonis and all this stuff is hanging from above,
sausages roll. I mean,
and the sausages, I mean that you can't compete with that if you walked in like that as a child.
Right. Well, this is a true story. My parents got divorced. Okay, my parents were brutal, actually.
How old were you?
I was 5. My brother was 10, and I'm not trying to talk bad about my parents. I love both of them dearly. I'm close with them.
Yeah.
Or my dad. You know, my dad didn't have that much time with the court. The courts only gave my dad 8 hours on Sunday and 3 on Wednesday.
No.
And
That's
it was it was like textbook, like how not to handle the divorce, kind of. It was in the 80s, and my dad's Sicilian.
Right.
So so it was like against everything.
Oh my
religion,
God.
and he was just like, I can't believe this. You know, I do a joke in my act where I just like, where he's like, come here, boys, let's talk about this divorce your mother did. You know, because he was like, that wasn't him.
It wasn't him at all.
It wasn't him at all. He couldn't even fathom it.
Oh my God.
You know? So I lived with my mother. I lived with my mother and stepfather. And one time, my mother and I go to the grocery store, and this is around high school, and I was kind of going through a tough time because we had moved.
Right.
I moved a lot, you know, and I think that's kind of why my comedy and storytelling really came about, because I kind of used that, because when I'd be new, people would go, oh, he's funny, listen to him tell his story. So that was kind of your thing, like my thing, or my defense, maybe.
Did either of your parents have that skill? Were they?
No, but oddly, man, even though they're very different, SNL would always be on. Johnny Carson would always be on. My father took me to see Dangerfield at Radio City when I was like 9.
No.
The one that got me, though, Tom, big, was 1987. Eddie Murphy Raw came out in theaters. And my grandmother and mother were like, you can't take him to that. And I was like, Dad, come here. And he did. And I remember being like, that was the one.
That was the big one.
I'm in the theater, I'm a little kid, and I'm watching this guy in a leather suit saying all this wild stuff, and he's talking about his drunk dad and not allowing the mother to leave the house, and the ice or the burger. His grandmother made him the burger and I remember like even the jokes I couldn't understand when he would talk either sexual or whatever, because I'm 9.
Yeah.
But I just remembered like he painted that picture.
The impact, and
that hit me hard. So my mother takes me grocery shopping one time, and I'm around high school, and we get in the car, and she looks at the receipt, and she says, I don't see the sharp provolone, it's not on the receipt. I had stole it. I put a hunk of sharp provolone, like I was literally like, I think a freshman in high school, or no, 8th grade. So I was like 13, and we go in there, and my mother goes, she goes, this is a $12 hunk of cheese. Did you? She goes, you're going to go back in there. And I go, come on, don't make me go back. She's like, you put sharp provolone. But it was because when I would visit my dad.
Right.
Like, because my mom wouldn't eat that. Because my mother was Greek. And like, there wasn't that. So the small visits of my dad were this.
Right.
Was this.
Right.
So in his fridge. So she's like, this is $12. You just stole $12. So she made me like promise to never do it again. She didn't make me go. She didn't make me go back. I like really pleaded.
Yeah.
And I was like, because what if they arrest, like, you know, I kind of painted the picture like I did something. I never did it again, but I mean, I was stealing sharp provolone at 13.
To bring it to your dad. To make sure you had a good time.
Yeah, like Dad would be proud. Like, he couldn't get mad when she told him. He wasn't mad.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, there's family roots to this stuff.
Yes.
There's just that you can't unravel. There's no way. It's impossible.
It is. It's embedded. And even qualities that my father have, good or bad, it's amazing that you can see what you have in your mom and what you have in your dad.
Yeah, I know.
We all are part of that. Like, your kids are part of you and your wife, as Lucas and Sophia are part of me and Stacy. It's crazy. Yeah.
Do you have, does your dad have a temper?
No, my dad is
mellow?
My dad is weird though. He's mellow, but my dad is like my dad does like root for the bad guy in movies. Like, he's one of those where he's just like good, like a very against the grain.
Right.
Like good. No, I hope that, he does that.
What was his job? What did he do?
He was in, he had his own company that sold car insurance.
Okay.
And then he was also in real estate.
Right.
It's funny, my dad's a street kid from the Bronx, but he's educated. And smart. Like, he went to University of New Mexico, all A's.
Right.
Then came back, went to Iona in New Rochelle and did great. But he also has that, you know, like, mob guys would approach my dad, or at least because I would be like in a diner, because he's 100% Sicilian, so you know what that means. Right. They know that, and it's like that whole pure blood thing, like in Goodfellas, is real. Right,
exactly. Like, he hasn't been tainted by any Germans.
Right, and they could and they could trace you back and all that. I remember we'd be like eating in a diner, and there would be like an old guy with like those glasses, the shaded glasses, and like he would just like go like this, and my dad, our thing was picked up, and my dad would be like, oh, he paid for, and I would be like, why? And I didn't understand. Right. But he always would say, like, don't get involved in that.
Oh, really?
Don't ever get involved in that. You know,
without even having to define what it was.
He just knew, like, as I started to get older, and knew he would go like those, you know, it's an uneducated thing and it's not smart. So he would always, my father and I have a unique relationship where he wasn't in my life that much as I wanted because of the divorce. Yeah. And there was some, you know, there was back and forth between him and my mom. It got ugly. Yeah. But he always would say, don't do drugs, don't commit crimes, don't be with bad. He would always say things. He would like, sometimes he'd be like irresponsible and say things he shouldn't say. Right. Because he wouldn't talk to me and my brother Christian like we were kids. He would talk to us like we were adults. And he would just always, you know, he'd be like, hey, you know, your mother, like, you went, you know, the devil invaded our family. He said, I was like, what? Wow. And I was like, well, I mean, what is it? I live with the devil? Like, you know?
Is that how it went down, that she met someone else?
Well, they split, and then my stepfather came into my life when I was 5, and they're still together. Right. So my dad just didn't, you know, if I'm being honest with you here, the cheese got me going. But it's, that's right. I'm just telling you the truth. Like, that's really what happened. And but he would say, Tom, he would be like, don't ever do drugs. You're going to need your mind. He said some things that really came to pass. He said to me one time, you're going to need your mind in life, and the drugs takes away your brain, so don't. And it's kind of funny because,
what a simple way to put it,
you know. He's like, he's like, because you do drugs, you ruin everything, and then you can't even work. And like, now I'm a comedian that you know, has to think, and we think on our toes, and we have to see the world. So he did in some weird way do that fatherly thing in the short time that we were together.
Was it hard for you? That 5 is such an early, also formative age. Yeah. When were you angry for a while? Were you like...
No, I was insecure and scared. I was insecure and scared because I thought things were happening to my mom. Right. You know, I was worried that something happened to my mom. My dad was like this outside thing, and it wasn't really a warm civil break. Right. So me and my brother were kind of just caught up in the middle. Yeah. And again, I'm not trying to be disrespectful to my parents, and I've talked to them about it. They've apologized, like, hey, we wish, you know, and to be honest with you, Tom, I look at it like they were young too. You know, they're in like you know, they're in their like probably mid to late 30s or 30s when this starts to go down. Right. And they're kind of, you know, now I see how I was at 30, and they kind of, and it's the 80s, divorce is a no-no. My mom just wasn't happy. My dad's saying horrible things. My mom combating that.
Right.
And me and my brother Christian were like, all right, we're just gonna.
Yeah.
But it sucked, this Christmas with this one, and then if you're late at this holiday, why are you there longer? And
right,
even if they didn't say that, you felt it.
Mm-hmm.
And hey, when are you gonna be here? And me and my brother had to deal with that.
Yeah.
So
and how old's your
tough.
brother? Your brother's...
My brother Christian is 5 years older than me.
5 years older. So he's like the little man now.
He kind of took a lot of bullets for me.
Right.
He kind of took a lot more, but because I have like vivid memories of my parents together, but I was 5.
Yeah.
So it was tough, but I was afraid. I had a lot of insecurity, and I started to develop anxiety young.
Uh-huh.
My first real episode, I was like in grade school, and I had to say to my mom, like, what? And my mom deals with anxiety, and she had to say, like, look, you're panicking but I was a kid. I would act out.
Yeah.
Because I didn't.
You had no idea what's going on.
No idea.
Yeah, you're just this little ball of emotion being formed, and
I would do something stupid with friends, like act out or do something,
right.
or I'll drink that sip of beer at like 12 just so
right.
people would laugh and think I'm cool.
Yeah.
But now I'm old enough to realize why I did it.
Right, of course. Were grandparents around?
Yes, grandparents.
On both sides?
Grandparents were around. My grandfather, my mother's father, which is my babuli, is Greek for grandpa.
Right.
And Yaya is the grandmother.
Yeah.
So my Greek grandmother, Yaya, she lived until a year and almost 2 years, 99.
Oh, wow.
But my grandfather passed away at 66 when I was like 7, and me and him were close.
Oh, God.
But my other grandparents, my father's parents were around for most of it.
So 5 and they're split, and then 7 you lose him.
Yeah, I remember.
It's a tough little run.
It's funny you bring that up, because I remember being at he taught me how to ride a bike. He would take us to the movies. He was really great.
Yeah.
And he was funny too. His name was Gus. His name was Constantine, but they called him Gus. And and my grandmother was very proper, and the hair done even when she never left the house. That generation of like everything was house immaculate, hair done. And he would just bust her chops, like they'd be in a supermarket, and he'd be like, "Yeah, my love machine over here, she's wild," and she would be, "Oh my God," like he was like a goofy, fun guy.
Yeah.
And everybody says I was very similar to him, but at his wake, I was in the back room where they have like the chairs, and I was acting out, and people said it was almost like my first show.
Oh, really?
I was like standing on chairs, I was doing things, and I don't know if I was acting out because I was nervous or scared, but it was the first time I'm around death.
Yeah.
And my mother was a wreck because her father was young, only 66.
Yeah.
And I was just this kid, and I remember the neighbors laughing, going, "Wow, this kid's wild here." But I think it was something hit me.
Yeah, no, I remember early death things where it was, I was literally just thinking of when my aunt had died, and she was young, she had complications, and I remember like being at the lunch after, and I was making jokes like nonstop. I literally was thinking this the other day, and it was totally a defense mechanism. Like, everyone was being like respectful, and you're supposed to have a nice time after, but not like a big boisterous time. And I was with my cousins, just like letting it rip and making these jokes about that song Sky Pilot, I remember. and I'm like, and you feel a little shame, like, what was I doing? But you were coping. You were trying to just get through it, and that's how we learned to navigate through life. It's like, get chatty, avoid it, turn it into something else.
Yeah, and you get on stage, and then you get that acceptance, and all of a sudden you're doing something that's difficult that not many people do, and you're getting acceptance, and you're good at it, and it gives you some sort of like validation. So maybe when I was little and I saw Eddie Murphy on that screen, maybe part of me was like, oh, like I can do that. Maybe I should do, and then you come to find out that he was kind of a little recluse and a little sheltered. Like a lot of these talented people have that. But I was talking to somebody yesterday about this, and the same thing we're talking about is when something happens when you're young and you need something else. Angry people and people that are upset. I did this acting thing, and I was talking to people in makeup, and I said it, and they were like, "Thank you so much, you're so nice." And I'm going like, well, what
does everybody else do?
Exactly. And then I said, like, do you have pain in the asses coming here? Do you have, and they were like and just people being mean, or like, why'd you do my makeup like that? And it's all projection.
Always.
It's just
fear.
So it's fear, and those people are like. Remember when we were? I don't know if you remember this, but remember like in early hip hop, or not early hip hop, but I remember the '90s. There was a big thing. What are you looking at? Why are you looking at me like that? There was a very like, what the hell is he looking at? But it was like somebody said, it might have even been Jay-Z goes, they don't want you to see them in their scared thing.
Right.
So when you look at somebody and they're like, hey, why are you looking? It's because they're scared.
Right. Exactly. 100%.
And they think you're seeing that, and it makes them combative. And it always amazes me that what you go through in the mind of, like in your mind when it starts to develop is who you're gonna be, or at least a big part of it.
Yeah.
And that it scares me with my kids, so I chose not. I don't slap my kids. I don't hit my kids.
Right.
It's just something that me and Stacy. Going back, me and Stacey are like, we should have maybe a little bit.
Yeah, I know. I always say that at least they should think you might. You never even have to do it.
The possibility, the fear. But
yeah.
This is delicious.
The one time, I remember my daughter, and we didn't do it either. And the one time, like, my daughter was just being really rough to my wife, dinner, like, they were little, you know? But she was really going off, and my wife was offended and hurt, and I took my daughter by the arm and marched her down the hallway and had her sit down by the bed. Just that, and it wasn't in a violent way. It was just like, much bigger person taking the little person. Just doing that and putting her down, and she's crying, and I was kind of like upset. The next morning, we both had like the flu. We both were sick just from the stress of like, this was so foreign to us. I was such a wreck.
It hurt you.
That I completely fell apart.
Wow.
Yeah, it was horrible.
My daughter was being just unreasonable, and part of me wanted to do exactly what you just said.
Yeah.
And she's like, she let me have a bond, and she was just being unreasonable. I don't care this and that, and like, I don't care that I'm wrong.
Yeah.
I don't like that. Just
the test.
And I wanted to grab her from like under her arm and do the drag and sit down like you did.
Right.
And I wanted to, but my son has almost admitted, like, there was a couple times where he should have been spanked. And what's hard with my son Lucas is both of them are incredible students, but he's like a good athlete, but he's respectful. He's a good student. Like, he's never not made, all through junior high now, he's never not made honor roll or high honor roll.
Right.
Never.
Yeah.
Math it's like he looks at math, it's just easy. 97s without trying.
Amazing.
So he's like, and he's respectful to his elders. But to us, he'll say things and do things, and we can't say that's why you're doing bad in school. We can't say you're not respectful to elders, or you're not good. Teachers write us a note going, he's one of the most
we love him.
delightful kid we've ever had. And then he'll just be like, sometimes just say stuff, and you're like, my wife is like, and my wife is definitely tougher discipline than me. I am, what you see is what you get. I am easygoing, man.
Right.
Drives my wife nuts. Like, I'll tell you, she won't be mad at me for telling this. So we all have finance guys, right? You have a finance guy that does all your stuff, and you get the lawyer, accounting and all that. And I'm laying in bed, and I just like to chill. I'm chilling. I'm just and Stacy goes, our guy's on the phone for the accountant for the taxes. Okay. I go, and we had a little better year, so it was anticipated that we would owe more. And he goes, yeah, guys, and we're on speaker, and he just starts saying like what we owe. I totally expected it.
Right.
And she's just. And she starts to like get her eyes water, and like she starts to get a little upset, and I'm like, what are you? And then so we get off the phone, and I go like, can you stop panicking? And she goes, what do you mean? And she's like, oh, you're so nonchalant. I go, we made more money, we're paying more taxes, and
it's gonna be fine.
She's so organized, and like used to we both didn't grow up rich,
right?
And
you get those big bills. You're like, that we're going to be behind. It's panic time.
She was like, things were easier when we were broke. And I'm like, can we just? And I'm just hanging out. Like, can we just listen? The more money means that we're making more money. Everything is good. But that's who my wife is. She's very. She can get that little.
Well, don't you feel that it's your job actually as the father and the husband is almost just, it's going to be all right. It's going to be okay. It's almost like let everybody know, even if you have moments that you don't feel that way or whatever, there's sickness or whatever hits you. You have your moments, but it's kind of your job to buck up and be like, it's going to be all right, because probably will be.
I agree with that 100%. I think that even sometimes if I question something that could be a little scary,
right,
I'm still going to be like, look, whatever is going to be, we're going to get through it.
Yeah.
And that is also who I am.
Right.
So, and my wife is, I mean, organized, very, very intelligent. I mean, it's like she's incredible, but she's very much like this has to have, where are they gonna? She's so, she wants to be 4 or 5 steps ahead.
Right.
And I'm like, let's be maybe 1 or 2.
Right. or let's not pay attention at all.
Like let's let life
let's not
happen.
pay attention. Let's go get some cheese and relax.
Yes, I'm very big on like not to get this dark, but he wasn't my manager at the time that he was killed, but David Kimowitz, who was part owner of the Stand, he was murdered, and it was brutal. And he had these 2 beautiful little girls a beautiful wife, and he was managing comedians, and he was half owner of one of the best new clubs in New York. He had every house down at LBI, and he just everything. And I get the chills thinking about it because he was taken so senselessly. So do you mind me asking what the circumstances were? Yeah, the circumstances with that was the nanny had an issue with the boyfriend.
Oh, right. And the boyfriend came from the nanny.
And the boyfriend was there, and luckily David's family was not there.
Right.
They were down at that, but I guess they wanted to have a talk, and he was like, listen, I'm tired and I got somewhere to be tomorrow and blah, blah. And then he just came in and all this violence happened.
God. And so he got caught in like the crossfire of this passionate thing.
Right. Where it was just like, it gutted me.
Yeah.
It really, really
it was
gutted
horrible.
me. But I could tell you that, well, I'll go back to that.
Okay.
I always use that. And I've even said to Stacy, and she got mad one time, but I'm like, Stace, like horrible things happen, and people get sick. And I was like, we're healthy, our kids are healthy, we're both making a decent living, and our kids are healthy. Like life is really good. And it doesn't get her upset when I say that, because she's like, yeah, but things need to be done, which I get.
Right.
But I always go to the bigger grand scheme.
Yeah.
And I know sometimes people like that can be annoying.
Yeah, if you're not built that way, it is. Yeah,
like if you're not, she's not built to be like, oh, we'll see what happens.
Right.
And I'm listen, things are good now. Yeah. Bills are paid, we're good. But she's kind of, let's be a step ahead. Let's get in front of this.
Right. Yeah.
Like if I
because what's funny. What's funny about that is you're both right. You're both right. Like, okay, this moment is really great. Holy cow, what a day with the son, the kids, the thing. And she's also right. Well, what's around the corner? And there's going to be obstacles coming. And so there is that thing.
Yeah. Like
that's why you're married. That's if it was 2 of either one of you, it'd be horrible.
It'd be a big problem. Yeah. But if we got like $5 million in cash today,
right, she would
plan I'd be like, we're gonna literally take the weekend to just understand that we have $5 million cash that we did not have, but her mind would be like, okay, so we're gonna get an IRA then, and we're gonna do all right, so the kids college, and I'm just like, and I'm like, let's just enjoy can we go to a beach house for a couple of days and get some champagne and talk about it?
Can we go buy something stupid? Let's buy something stupid.
Let's buy something that we shouldn't buy, eat some cheese, drink some wine, and then make the decision.
I don't want a pool table. You don't want a pool table. Let's buy a pool table.
We don't need a pool table. And
I don't even like
play.
Pool.
That's great. That's great.
EveryPlate is America's best value meal kit. While most meal kits come with a premium price tag, EveryPlate offers delicious dinners that won't break the bank. Let EveryPlate plan, shop, deliver everything you need to cook a delicious meal at a consistently low price. You get to choose from 17 delicious weekly recipes and then sit back. They'll deliver pre-portioned ingredients and easy-to-follow recipe cards right to your door. Think of it this way. One meal from EveryPlate is about the same price as 1 cup of coffee. How about that? Probably cheaper than your fancy lattes and whatever you get into. EveryPlate cuts out trips to the grocery store, stressful meal planning, so you can enjoy cooking. For those looking for a quick and satisfying fix, EveryPlate now offers a selection of recipes that come together in just 20 to 25 minutes. Look, as we're all getting back to life and we're all racing around, I don't know one person that is left into those days of just kicking around and having all the time in the world anymore. The roaring river is back. you need to fill in the gaps between those giant meals and those big things that you're just experimenting with. EveryPlate is the place to try. For just $1.79 per meal by going to everyplate.com and entering the code PAPA179. That's EveryPlate for just $1.79 per meal. Get started at everyplate.com and enter the code PAPA179. That's up to a $104 value. Good food, easy ingredients, easy to follow recipes, right to your door. No brainer. Also like to thank the good people at Trade Coffee. So Trade Coffee connects customers to the freshest and best-selling coffee they've ever made at home by partnering with the country's best craft roasters. I mean, whenever I travel, whenever I'm on the road, I'm looking for the best roasters, the places that are a little more thoughtful, a little more caring, not just cranking stuff out in bulk, just to crank it through. People who really love coffee. And you put in this little quiz on Trade Coffee, and then they spit back. You go to Drink Trade. It's called drinktrade.com. It's the website. And Trade Coffee, they ask you, what kind of bean do you like? How do you make your coffee? I am a pour-over person, so I put in my pour-over. I said I like a dark roast. Do you, even within those parameters, do you like traditional stuff? Do you want to try something new? Do you want to be adventurous? You put in a bunch of stuff. It's really quick. It's easy. Look, if you love coffee, I could have spent all day on this website. You don't really need it to go too quickly. I love talking about it. I love drinking it, and I love having stuff delivered. People come to me on the road, and someone from Alabama just gave me a big thing of coffee when I was in Nashville. Trade's first match guarantee. Trade is so confident they'll match you right the first time that if you don't like it, and they'll take your feedback, and an actual coffee expert will work with you to send a brand new bag for free. How about that? So you put in all your stuff, you get it. You're a coffee snob, right? You feel like you know the stuff and you know what you like. If you don't get what you like, you'll actually connect with one of the professionals, and they will fine-tune it and make sure you get the bag that you need. Trade has delivered over 5 million bags of fresh coffee for more than 750,000 positive reviews. That's pretty amazing. Whether your friends call you a coffee snob or you just know when coffee tastes really perfect, Trade's real coffee experts personally taste test over 450 roasts. And like I said, I put in all the ingredients, all of the answers, and they gave me coffee that's coming from this little shop in San Diego. I forget the name of it, but I know because I have coffee snob friends. This was one of the places they told me, when you go to San Diego, you have to try, and now it's coming to my house. Right now, Trade is offering new subscribers a total of $30 off your first order, plus free shipping when you go to drinktrade.com/papa. That's more than 40 cups of coffee for free. Get started by taking their quiz at drinktrade.com/papa and let Trade find you a coffee you'll love. That's drinktrade.com/papa for $30 off. Great service. They're always coming up with new things. They're always figuring it out. They know we like good stuff. Another great service. So thank you to you good people at Trade Coffee and
EveryPlate. So you'll get a kick out of this because you're obviously you have the mind, the comic. But so when that happened to David, and I was it was brutal, and I was sick for like a week.
Yeah.
And I didn't get on stage or anything, and then I go down to the city because somebody was like, "There's no way to make this funny," but I know David likes dark kind of stuff. So I'm down in the city, and I was with my wife, and the guy sees me, and he says, "Hey man, I'd love for you." He was a younger comic. "I'd love for you if you want to jump on the show and do 7 minutes. That'd be great." My wife goes, "You know what? You haven't been up. You've been kind of down. Why don't you go up there and tell a couple of jokes?" And I go, "All right." So the guy says to me, "Yeah." I said, "Thank you so much for putting me on." I said, it's just having a kind of a rough thing." And he goes, "Well, if you don't mind me asking, what happened?" And I said, "Well, a friend of mine, was stabbed to death in his home, him and his nanny." And the guy just goes, "Been there." I go, "What?" And I just, it was so funny because it was like he got a parking ticket on Fifth, like a speed trap, and it actually made me feel better. And I know David would appreciate that because he just goes, been there. And like, I was like, first of all, how often is this happening? And he just made it like, and that actually made me feel better. And that's the beauty of what we do. Because something like that.
Totally.
And then a guy goes, been there, just the way he did it.
The release.
It's a release.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah.
100%. And there is that thing. It's like, it doesn't really matter how heavy your load is when you're little. You're little and you're emotional and you're aware of everything, especially if you have the ability to be a comedian. You're like this little antenna that's open to everything. So you're receiving all this stuff.
Yep. And
some of it can be really heavy and some of it can just seem heavy to you at the time.
Yeah.
And we get this, every comic I know has this one thing of like, doesn't matter how heavy the big grown-up things come at you when you're an adult, you will, like a jujitsu, like you will make this funny and put it in perspective and get through it. And it's kind of a gift. I think people around us sometimes want us to be more sincere about stuff at times, but I think that and it definitely is a way to deflect, but it's a kind of a great way to live because it's not all that serious.
Right. And that's a really good point you make, Tom, because maybe that's what I did at my grandfather's wake. Right. So, and I think that's kind of what happens. And there is funny in everything if you just do it. I mean, Carlin did a rape joke, and people are like, "How's it funny?" And he made, and women are laughing.
Right.
You know, you can find something because if it's done correctly, and it's done cleverly, you're actually making fun of the lunacy of it. Yeah. You know,
the pain, the lunacy, diffusing it.
I was just talking about this before, so you know, I don't want to sound like a broken record, but somebody was like, I was like, the fact that it's terrible that Asian people are being punched because of this. It's crazy, right? So, you know, a couple of my friends are like, you can't do a joke about that. And I'm like, of course you can. There's got to be. So I went on stage and I found a way to do a bit on it, and Asian people in the crowd are banging the table laughing.
Right.
Because if first of all, if you pay for a ticket and to see comedians, okay, we're talking about the lunacy. So if I make a joke about it, I'm saying how crazy and stupid does the person that's punching?
Right.
But we're going to make a joke and make light of it just so you're at a comedy show and it kind of releases.
And you're saying we're all in this together. We're all together. There's forces that are not, and they're not here, and they're not partaking in the joy that we're going to find in our common ground.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. No. You're one of the guys that like, because when I was coming up, I remember seeing you at the Cellar, and we were talking about this the other day. How comedians now can be doing it for like, not to knock anybody, but you could do it for 6-7 years and like get a special.
Right.
But I remember when I started comedy, guys like you and Geraldo and Burr and guys like were in the business 15 years and then or over a decade and then got a half hour, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So, where it's like different now.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But I love that because the seasoned guys that have tested and 10 years turns into 15 and 15 turns into 20.
Yeah.
And then you see things happen. That's how I came up in comedy.
Right.
And I think guys that do that are able to take something that's darker because
you're more skilled, you're
just
better.
Have the experience, you're better.
Definitely,
you're better
100%.
So sometimes a younger comic may try, but it looks like it's more shock.
Right, you know? Exactly. Yeah, it's gonna be a lot smaller. What so when the good times when you're 5 to 10 years old and you're bouncing around now between these homes.
Yep.
So you've got Greek in there, you've got Sicilian in there, you got your Greek grandparents.
Yeah.
What was the main happy cuisine? What was the main happy food at the holidays?
So my mother rebelled against my grandmother, so she did not go hard with the Greek because my grandmother went too hard with it.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So
her mother?
Yes.
Wow.
My yaya was very much Greeks are the best. Like she would see a good singer on TV, but he must be Greek. I would say it could be like Lionel Richie. She'd be like, he's Greek. Like it's like he's not. I don't know. Look at his hair. You know.
Yeah.
She was just like that. Yeah. And Greeks had to marry Greeks. That's a very big thing. So when my father's parents, my grandparents on my father's side came over, there was a little bit of a,
they're not Greek.
They obviously didn't say anything, but my mom told me like there was a problem. They're not Greek. So yes, there's the spinach pies and all the stuff that you would get at a Greek restaurant was there. But on my dad's side, it was like my Sicilian grandmother made meatballs that I still, as I'm telling you now, I know how they taste.
Right.
That's how it was. Just
amazing.
It's a meatball that I just can't. I've had like maybe 2 different places close, but could never duplicate her meatball.
Really.
And the sauce waited overnight, so the fat rises to the top and she scrapes it off.
Oh my God.
Her lasagna. So that was just.
And you got to see her pretty often?
Well, every Sunday.
Right.
Sundays, my dad would pick me and my brother up, and instead of going to a restaurant, we'd go to a restaurant sometimes.
Yeah.
But a lot of times we would go to my grandma's house so she could see us.
Of
and
course.
she would have the pasta and she would make the meatballs and all that. And that was a special thing.
Yeah, no kidding. I mean, talk about making the most out of that Sunday, Wednesday visit.
Yeah, it was
right?
it was from noon to 8 on Sunday and from 5 to 8 on. So we would do dinner on Wednesday, but that Sunday, and another thing, my dad was big on movies. So we would go to my grandmother's, we would eat around like 1 o'clock. We'd have a big Italian thing. We'd be done by 2, and then we would go to the movies. We would do stuff like that. So that's where the Eddie Murphy Raw.
Right.
A fond memory that I have is we saw The Untouchables. Remember The Untouchables?
Oh God, yeah.
And one of my all-time favorites.
One of the best.
We loved it so much that me and my dad and brother, we just sat and waited for another show.
Oh really?
They ran it back. Same thing. They just ran it back, and we just watched it twice because my dad was
amazing.
Like, and like those are some fond memories that I have.
Yeah, sitting in a theater for 5 straight hours just to watch.
Yeah, that was a great one. I remember that. Man.
Oh man, it's funny when you say 1 o'clock and then you're done by 2. I've been doing this thing where I cook every Sunday for my family.
Okay.
And I've been trying to perfect my meatballs, and I'm getting there. But I keep moving it earlier in the day. Like there's something great about Sunday. Like I'm right now at like 4 to 5 o'clock. Like 4, so you're done around 5, and the whole night's yours. You don't have to. You're not doing dishes late into. You can just really relax into the evening. But when you literally when you said 1 to 2, I'm like, that's a pretty good idea too. Yeah. 1 to 2.
You start smelling it around like 1, and then like you sit down around 1:30.
Yeah.
And then by like 2:30, you're so full, but you're like have that you have that relaxed.
Yeah. And then you just go and snack a little later. But the only problem with this scenario is that you need someone in the family who's your grandmother getting up at 9 and just living in the kitchen all day, and
but they love it though.
They totally, and they're built for it.
That's their day.
100%.
Like the kitchen is where they make their moves.
And so knowing that you're coming, that your little face is coming, and you're gonna down those meatballs, forget it.
And they love watching the pleasure. That's one of me and my older brother. My older brother Christian has such an amazing sense of humor.
Yeah.
Like we still to this day, yesterday we did it. We will always text about Naked Gun and airplane quotes. If somebody doesn't think Naked Gun or airplane is funny, I can't. I mean, those are 2 of the greatest.
You can't relate to them.
Oh my God! It was a David Zucker.
Yeah.
David Zucker. So I did the Impractical Jokers cruise, right? Not to get off topic, but I met him.
Wow.
And I'm talking to him, and we start having a good talk.
Yeah.
And then Bobby Kelly gets off the elevator and sees me, and all of a sudden, me and David Zucker are having this amazing moment. And Bobby just goes, "What? You don't say hi, dude? What, is he famous?" And he just starts, and I'm going, "No, dude, it's airplane."
Bobby.
Dude, Dick, it's airplane. It's airplane. And he was just kind of busting chops. Yeah. But it was just like, "No, dude." And then that made him go, "Whoa, like, what's with your friend?" And I'm going, "You just ruined." I was about to have this epic, and he like wanted to talk. We're about to like board the ship to go on the Impractical Jokers cruise. We're about to board the ship or get shuttled to the ship, and I'm talking to David Zucker before this cruise starts. I could run into him now at the casino. I'm gonna ask him, and Bobby, "What is this? Who's that?" And I'm going, "Oh my God, Bobby!" I mean, me and Bobby got
perfect timing.
Yeah, perfect timing. But my older brother Christian has a really great, like sense of humor.
Oh, that's great.
And it's, dude, he's just like, we have the. But I lost. What got me to that? You said.
Going to the movies? No.
My God, So Christian has a really good sense of humor, and we always to this day text about like Naked Gun and airplane.
We were just saying this the other day. Yeah.
Yeah. It was something about how like my brother, you know, he took a.
When you guys were eating with your grandmother?
You got me. You got it. So me and my older brother, who has an incredible sense of humor, we love watching Italians eat. Because the pleasure, thank you for bringing me back here because you're going to love this. The pleasure of watching an Italian, specifically a fat one, eating. Watching somebody fat enjoy food is really, it's a pleasure. It
is.
It's like watching Jordan, if you like basketball, it's like watching Jordan hit like just a pure jumper.
Yeah.
So we are at Yankee Stadium and we see this heavy set Italian kid, and we didn't have to be told he was Italian.
Right,
He made me look Polish, right?
Right.
This kid was Italian, and he's sitting there, not huge, but just bulky.
Yeah.
And I don't know where they sold it, Tom, in the stadium.
Where you could find
He's got this chocolate glazed donut. So it was either a Krispy Kreme, and me and my brother watch him. It was one of the biggest bites. It was one of the single biggest bites of a donut. Any more of the mouth opening, and the thing is going down. The whole thing goes down. And he's chewing it, and there's just like a chipmunk. There's just and we're just watching his face, and he's looking at the baseball game, and he's chewing with pleasure.
Just joy.
With the pleasure and joy. And my brother and I are like hitting each other crying. And the guy could care less if there was like grease or chocolate.
He was having a moment.
He's watching his Yankees with a chocolate glazed Krispy Kreme half in his mouth. And we were just like, that is the Italian, because this matters, dude.
Right, exactly. I was just going to say, like, I bet you if you had the opportunity to ask that guy, tell me about the donut. My grandmother used to make the best donuts in the basement in Newark. Like, he would have a connection to it.
And we're I think one of the only cultures that we'll make our own wine. I got friends that hang sausage from the garage, right? Even like I have friends that are Greek, but they don't. Yeah. You know, they're not their own spinach. I got friends that make their own wine.
Really?
Oh, they'll make their own wine.
Where?
They make. They got the barrels in their home.
In what coast?
Oh, New York.
In New York?
In Westchester County.
Really? Making their own wine?
Do you know Dom Lombardozzi?
No.
He was in, you would know Dom. He was in The Irishman. He was in The Wire. Did you watch The Wire?
Oh, yeah.
He was the cop in The Wire.
Okay.
He was also, did you ever watch Entourage?
Yeah.
He was the bald friend Dom in Entourage.
Oh, God.
You know what I'm talking about, right?
He's
in
amazing.
a ton of stuff. He's a great actor.
Big HBO guy.
He's a great actor.
He's a great actor.
And, so...
and you're buddies with him?
And he would go, Paul, yeah. So... I did a small part on King of Staten Island. I played Pete Davidson's dad on King of Staten Island, who got killed in a fire, but they cut it because Judd Apatow, they changed the opening scene of Pete trying to hurt himself in the car.
Right.
Kind of made my scene. They didn't want to go too heavy.
Got it.
So, and it sucked because it was a great thing, but I met Dom there.
Okay.
And Dom was one of the firemen in the movie. So I went to his house, and I bring him wine, and he goes, "Oh, thanks." He goes, "What? Try mine first." And it was incredible. Then he's got big barrels. He posts on Instagram of him and his fiance stirring sauce, and it's the only. I don't know. All my other friends that are other things, other than Italian, don't do that.
I know.
We're the only people that we love it so much. We're like, I can't even wait. I'm just gonna learn to make it.
I know, that's literally what I've been doing with this bread thing for it's been years of me. I have barrels of flour in my kitchen. My wife is like, "Why is this in here?" And I literally caught myself the other day, like, "What am I doing exactly?" Like, I can't stop making bread. I can't stop making it. I love it. I love the smell. I love all of it. All that stuff you're talking about of like, I'll just do it myself.
So you basically are doing what he does with wine and homemade pasta. You just love. It's funny. Pandemic turned comics into like bakers. There's like comics that are like making like knitting.
Yeah, DeRosa has a whole sandwich shop now.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I that's the one positive thing about the pandemic. Yeah. It kind of let you know. I feel like comics were on a hamster wheel. Mm-hmm. We were on a hamster wheel before this. Yeah. Because it was like, we're gonna go do spots. Right. We got to do this. Or, I haven't been up. And then it's like, well, I've also been doing this for a long, long time. And I remember I wasn't up for like 5 months, like everybody. But I got COVID. Me and my whole family had COVID. We had COVID early.
Oh, you did the March version,
2020 March.
When they called it Corona.
Not only 2020 March, like. like I'm not joking. I joked on stage. I said like we got it like we were waiting for an album to drop, like online at midnight,
March 11th.
Like we were waiting, and I lost the sense of smell and taste. But that allowed me to go out. That allowed me to.
Oh, because I had the antibodies.
Right. So I was able to go to like Arizona or a place that would do 50%
right
capacity.
Yeah.
You know, and I was like, am I going to be able to? And I got to be honest, it was like, yeah, no, I can do this.
Yeah.
But in our minds, it was like.
Oh, you mean after taking the break, that
yeah, because so many people were worried.
Right, because we never take off. It was like if you took a week off, it was a big deal.
And Tom, I realized that like I left my little boy and little girl on a Tuesday night to go run to the cellar or the stand to do a $25 spot on a Tuesday, and I'm going, no, I'm a national headliner, so how about I pick I'm gonna go on the road and make sure that I get our money is Friday, Saturday, or whatever.
Yeah,
and
go to
then
work.
I'll pick and choose my week spots, make sure I stay fresh, or if I'm working on something. But this rat race of like leaving my family for like
every single night,
and COVID really made me say I'm staying with my family now multiple days during the week.
Yeah,
I'm gonna load up on a couple days of sets, and then I'll go on the road. But I'm not doing that anymore.
I know.
And my life has been. Funniest thing is, life's been better, career better.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
When we let our minds go of what we think we have to, we're so nuts.
Everything got tight. Everything was very tight and like all in here. And that really just opened it up. I hope we can hang on to it.
I think so. I think the smart people will.
Yeah.
I think the people but look what you making bread did for you. You probably don't even fully know what it did for your soul, because of it. You're just in it and doing it.
Yeah.
But there was something when you're making that bread and you're smelling that and the yeast and all that happened to you that like almost needed in a way.
Yeah.
And the pandemic kind of gave you that. So I think people that can understand that.
Yeah.
It's a big thing, man.
No, it is a big thing. I'm still curious how he makes his wine. How does he take? He gets grapes in Westchester County.
I could find out.
Yeah. I got to follow him on Instagram.
And I got a bottle of it. Was Austin Hope. It was a really good bottle of red.
Jeez.
And he goes, oh, thank you. And he goes, I have mine out on the table already open, so when we finish it, we'll go to yours. And I just didn't want to stop. His was all bottled up. He's got tons of bottles.
Oh my God.
He cans it. He jars his own sauce. He makes his own wine.
It's amazing.
He's so Italian.
It's amazing.
He's so great. But the food is incredible.
Yeah.
And he's a great guy.
It's so great.
But he's one of those guys that like can do things that I could never do. He dug his in-ground pool. I saw like a single person bulldozer in his backyard, and he goes, yeah, I come back from the set, I just started digging. It might not be, he goes, it might not be perfect, but isn't that funny? Like he's so like he could do it himself. But he's just like, I will figure it out. I had a couple friends, we patted it down. He goes, it might not be, and he's got this, and I mean, beautiful in-ground pool, like with the cement around it, like. But he's just one of those guys that like everything he can do himself.
There is that thing. I remember my neighbor in New Jersey. It felt like it went on all summer long, and it was like his three sons, me, and like another kid from the neighborhood, and we dug and worked on putting in his bocce court on the side of his house.
Oh, that's amazing.
Amazing. And
I want a bocce court at my house.
I do too. Do you ever go to the one in New York, that restaurant that has the bocce courts in it?
I know, but I never did it.
Oh man, I'm spacing on the name. My father loved it. I think it's still open.
And you could just go, and like if
it's an indoor restaurant, and there's two bocce courts over there.
God.
Yeah, insane. And with the same thing, like no one there. There was no YouTube. There was no manuals.
No.
It was like, we're gonna make a bocce court. Let's get these young kids in their work boots and shovels, and let's start to make it. It was never really that perfect. But we put in a bocce court.
But they did it.
Railroad ties.
I don't have that. Like for me,
no.
You know when people say, I'm sure you've heard this a million times, you've been doing it longer than me, but when people are like, I don't know how you guys do what you do, right?
Yeah.
We hear that our whole career.
Yeah.
I don't know how these guys build decks.
Oh, please.
That's like learning Japanese in a day for me.
I know.
Like they're like, oh, I built that house. All I need is the measurements for the framing. And I'm like, what?
I know.
I'm like, you could build a house?
My wife and I were looking at these lights over our counter, these 4 lights, and they all went out. They're just electrically failed over time. And we've been staring at these for 2 years. We're like, we don't use them. Finally got our ass to call an electrician to come in. We found the lights. He replaced these lights in 45 minutes. 2 years of like,
I guess
it's impossible. How can we possibly get new lights in here?
Yeah.
45 minutes. The guy was just.
That is so.
But you got to know your skill. You got to know that I'm not that person.
Yeah. No. I think we know because of what we do. I'm sure that there are some comedians that can do some things like that, or maybe that was their trade before.
Yeah.
But like for the most part, I think somebody that can build a house with like 5 friends.
Yeah.
That's just, to me, that's like remarkable. Like, even to like get the wood and to just start and know. Now, did you grow up? Where did you grow up? Are you
North Jersey?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So like Bergen County?
Bergen County, exactly.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Like
Montvale, Woodcliff Lake.
Oh, okay.
Park Ridge.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, and then did you start stand up in New York or Jersey?
In New York.
Oh, okay.
In New York. Yeah. June 12th, 1993 at the New York Comedy Club.
Wow.
Yeah.
So one of the first. So you've been doing it about 8 years more than me, because New York Comedy Club on 24th Street. I had to do a bringer. And this is like
That was mine, bringer.
You got to bring 3 people. And they always told you you'd go on at 9:30. You went on at like 11:15. They saw like 20,000 comedians. I was nervous out of my mind. But New York Comedy Club was the first.
That's funny.
Was the first place. So how long have you been?
So mine was it was above a cowboy bar. It was a country bar, and it was the original location, I guess.
Oh,
and then they moved it to that one, and this one was bring a couple friends, and it was at like 5 p.m.
Oh, wow.
And I got
First time ever.
First time ever.
Wow.
First time ever walking in a comedy club. I'd never even been in a comedy club. I just booked the date and walked in, and the only other comic waiting to go on was Giraldo.
Wow.
Very nervous, little baby-faced Greg Giraldo.
Wow.
And we just started talking and hit it off, and we went up and did our spots, and that was it.
And then you got the bug, and that was it.
And that was it. And I would just commute from New Jersey until I moved into New York.
What did you do before comedy?
I worked in advertising in like a small ad shop.
Oh, okay.
It was family run, but I was just treading water until I could get comedy going.
Wow.
Yeah.
And your wife was with you through the whole thing, or no?
No.
Okay.
No. I met her later at the comic strip.
Okay.
So that was 93, and I met her in 98 at the comic strip, and she grew up in Park Ridge and went to the same kindergarten that I went to.
Wow.
one year apart.
Wow.
And we never met.
Wow.
Same summer job, same everything.
And you just never
and she was a comedian, Cynthia Corey. She was a comedian at the comic strip, and I was too, and I drove her home for Thanksgiving once.
Wait, your wife's a comic?
Yeah, she was a comic.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow, that's bizarre.
It was really bizarre.
Have the same kindergarten, same like growing up.
We worked in the same hotel, the Woodcliff Lake Hilton. We worked at the same hotel. I was busboy, and she was a cocktail waitress, and we never met until sitting backstage at the comic strip.
That's so, that lets you know. That lets you
right?
know. If that doesn't let you know that like there's something, man.
Totally.
There's a force. I actually believe that. I believe that there's a force or something, and whether people want to say it's religion, whatever, but there's a destined thing, man. I think too many things have happened. I've seen and felt too many things in my life happen where you're like, wow, like that had to happen. Yeah,
exactly. And of course a cynical view would be like, well, it's just numbers and it's just this or whatever. I prefer to believe in something a little more magical was going on.
Yeah, because all this is so wild.
Yeah.
That's another thing. I think so. I don't know who was saying that. I don't know if it was a scientist or somebody was either on Rogan or there was a scientist, or it was that like so much is so crazy that that life is so that when you look at mountains and then you look at everything in the world, and you're like, this is unbelievable.
It's incredible.
It's so incredible that you're like, this can't be just, I can't, you know.
No, I know.
And then you'll have somebody, like you said, like, you know, what did I remember Bill Burr said something. He goes, or people just can't accept that they're not going to exist one day. Which, you know, maybe, but
which is kind of true too, but
I choose to not. I choose to want to like wonder how amazing if you know.
Were you raised Catholic?
Well, my father was Catholic, but my mother was Greek Orthodox.
Okay.
So we were kind of just like, we would go to both churches.
Right. What do you do now?
You know, I want to do something with my, because we kind of both didn't have, me and my wife kind of both didn't have a set thing. But I want my kids to have, we were talking about, I want my kids to have a little like structure in that. And so I'm going to actually, it's funny you ask, I'm actively going to start to find some place around where we are and do that, because I think it's important for them.
Yeah.
And it's something that I want them to at least make their mind, let them go and hear things and get a feeling and then see.
Just explore that. Yeah.
Just explore it. And
do you miss it?
Yeah,
for yourself?
I'm you know, I pray a lot. I pray a lot, you know. I pray a lot, and I you know, I don't know, things have definitely, I have a connection, I feel like, some way, and I just do.
Right.
And I want my kids to, you know, to feel that, you know.
Right.
So
yeah.
Do you guys go to church or?
No, we also went to the same church as children.
Oh, okay.
We were both at the same church in Park Ridge.
Wow.
And never met, and I came out of it with a little bit of, no, this kind of made sense to me. I know all the problems, I know all the stuff, but I kind of connected with it.
Yeah.
And she came out of it like, well, I'm never doing that again. So with our kids, it was, should we go? Should we not go? And my one daughter was like, no, not interested, and I don't have to, and like for whatever weddings or whatever, kind of ran into it and was just like, no, I don't see it, and went with like my wife's thinking. And my other daughter was like, I'll go to church with you, and we started going, and she's very just a little more exploratory spiritually, and we went to the Catholic church. Yeah. And I had a great bit about taking her to the Catholic church for the first time and her seeing like Jesus hanging off the cross and all this scary music and all old people. And it was like a haunted house. It was like this horrible experience. And then when we moved out here, we went to Catholic again. But then we went to like a Christian, like Episcopal or something. And it was like guitars and just no, and none of the scary parts, and everyone was like, hey, just handing out bread and singing songs, and it was very delightful. And and we came out of there, and she's like, well, that was nice. And I was like, yeah, was it? Doesn't feel like church to me. I didn't feel scared. I need the priest, the big mean priest, to
the guilt.
The guilt, and you're all sinners, and that's church.
You're like, what did I do?
But you know what? During the pandemic, I actually just asked her. We were on a ride the other day, and I said, I wonder how many people haven't gone back to church since the pandemic, because no one could go for all that time, and it was already, the numbers were going down. It's like the film industry. And the numbers were already going down. And then the pandemic, it was like, we haven't been back.
My mother and stepfather are big Christian. So they very big Christian churchgoers. My mother was diagnosed with a very rare stage 4 cancer in 1997. Ooh. And it was real bad. And then 2 months before her last relapse, a test drug from the Dana-Farber Institute in Boston did a test study on like 100 people. My mother was one of them, and it worked. And then it worked on then people started to get it, and then the number got dwindled down to only working to 26. Wow. And she was one of the 26, and then that started to get dwindled down to like 10. And she's in that, and now here we are. So that was 1997, and she's in her 70s. The medicine beats her up, so she'll get a little tired, or like her immune system or whatever. But she got to see weddings and grandkids and me and my brother, and then I have a half brother, half sister, but they're my brother and sister. So she got all these amazing amazing things, and but just had faith, and really just is and they're not like weird, because I know, but they believe they believe in the Bible, and like they're very happy with that.
Yeah.
And it's like, so I don't really judge anybody for, what I don't like is when people get the weird.
Yeah. Can we talk?
Or like, you're online somewhere and you say something and somebody's like, well, that's because you don't have Jesus in your life. And that's that's where it's like, all right.
Right.
Or,
A time and a place.
Or I'm trying to decide what burger to get. Like, I don't need
Right, exactly.
So,
geez.
I don't like when people do. I don't like when people project their thing, and then they look at everybody else as that. It's like, if somebody wants to be vegan, then I'm not gonna judge you, but like, don't judge me if I'm gonna have like chicken parm or a steak, right? Because I'm not judging you.
We don't all have to be on the same team. We can get along and not have the same beliefs. And
I really believe, for the most part, Tom, I really believe for the most part, people, if they weren't told that they needed to be on a team, and it works for anything.
Yeah.
Religion, politics, all the things that we're afraid of.
Yeah.
If you could sit down like me and you are now with a bottle of wine, cheese, and bread, and had totally different things, I'm sure there would be a small percentage of people that are just like, I can't sit with you.
Right.
And I think that those people really stink. But I think for the most part, if you can do that and actually kind of come to some
100%.
Like, if you were somebody that would never eat meat ever, vegan, and you looked at me and I was somebody that would never do what you do, we would eventually be able to kind of get up and laugh.
Right. 100%.
And be like, hey, you know what? Do what you do. I do what I do. Best of luck.
The biggest mistake people make, which is a modern thing, is every other generation knew, don't talk politics and religion. Just keep that out. Why bring that in? Once you bring that in, you're screwed. And now people are leading with it. That is like their opening statement. And it's like, well, now where are we going to go? Now I got to get beyond that to just talk about our kids?
That is actually the best. I haven't heard anybody say that like that. It's like, that's why, you're right. It's like, you're going to lead.
Yeah.
Like, we just got to a barbecue.
Right.
Like, I want to play beanbag toss and like,
I want to talk about the hot dog.
Yeah, I want to get a hard seltzer and talk about which hard seltzer company is better, because there's 90 of them now. And, and you hear somebody like, you'll hear like, well, that's because this happened, or that's because this, and then you're going like,
hey. Boy, here we go. It's like, that should never even come up. We should get through this barbecue without really knowing what your opinions are on any of that. Yeah. And then, you know what? We could actually possibly be friends.
Yeah. I had the first Thanksgiving of my entire life. The first Thanksgiving I've ever had, this past one, everybody sat down. Not one awkward thing came up. Not one political thing came up.
Yeah.
And it was the best one.
It's the best. Because what are we talking about? Like, what? Like, so you're going to be beholden to this team so much with these guys who don't give a shit about you. Really, any of these politicians, they don't care about you.
They don't give a shit.
They're just running their. So you're going to really just fall in line with them to the point where you're going to ruin Thanksgiving with the people you know and love. Why? Keep
lunacy.
It out of it.
It's so true. It's
keep
like,
it out.
And here's the other thing about it. There's a selfishness to it. There's a selfishness to it, Tom, because that person who sits at your Thanksgiving table and does go, oh, the problem with Vladimir Putin and Joe Biden, right? The person that does that, they kind of know what they're doing. Because it's like, why? Because you feel the moment, and the moment is it's Thanksgiving. We're here for a holiday.
Right.
Pass the mashed potatoes. How's your kids? How's everybody? How's everything? That's really what should be going on, and you know that.
Right.
So the fact that you're going to be shitty because you need to get your Vladimir Putin, Donald Trump, Joe Biden thing out, you're now inserting that, and I don't like that. I don't. And the people that do that, there's like it's almost like a little bit of a game. Like, oh, here we go.
Well, that's my biggest problem with people leading with it. It was like they've become, in recent years, they became emboldened with it, and it became like okay to be an asshole.
Yeah.
It was like assholes got a pass.
Yes.
Like we're allowed to be loud in public.
Yeah.
We're allowed to wave shit. We're allowed to provoke people. We're allowed to get in fights with people at the store about a mask. It's like, no.
Yeah.
You don't get to be an asshole.
Yeah.
This isn't a pass. We're all human beings. We all got to be around each other. So just turn it down a notch.
Yeah, it's funny. There's like this entitlement now of like, I can say or do whatever I want. And it's like, nobody's really telling you can't, but why do that?
But why?
Why pick that?
Yeah, and if you were going to, don't do it here.
Or like if you're loud, do it about something that's not. Be loud about like the meatballs here are great. Like
or that glazed donut at the game.
Yeah, we are in a weird.
Yeah.
We're in a weird time.
I feel like people are burning out on it, though. I do feel like I can, like you said, like that Thanksgiving was like nobody had a problem, and I do feel like people are just tired. And young people that watched all these older people act like assholes, I don't think they're going to be leading with it as much. I hope.
I also don't like when, if like, see, this is where I'm very much like, I can pick on everybody as far as like politics.
Of course.
And
you're not a team, you're a comedian.
I could see the left, the right, the middle, and I could see something wrong. But if somebody hears you say that, then they go, oh, that's where he stands.
Right.
But then one of the best things that I ever experienced as a comedian, it made me feel really good. I was at the Punchline in Atlanta, and somebody came up to me and they go, hey man, when you went into that one he goes, I'm very conservative. And when you went into that one joke, I was like, oh boy, but you really walked the line great, and I thought it was great. And in that same show, a woman came up to me and says, I'm very liberal. And she said the same thing he said. And it let me know, that you just don't, even in comedy, like we did
they're waiting.
We did the Patrice O'Neill benefit, not this year, but a couple years back. And it's at the John Joe's, beautiful venue.
Yeah.
And everybody on the lineup was incredible, and everyone on the lineup killed. And I don't want to mention names here, but one comic just goes up, and the first thing they said was, yeah, I hate Trump, and if you like Trump, I can't stand Trump. And it made, you could feel the crowd go.
Yeah, now
whether they agreed or didn't, the comedy show, which everybody's killing on, now became that, and there wasn't.
Now we're in a rally,
and there wasn't a joke.
Right.
There was just like I don't give it, and it just was like why.
Yeah, it went from a comedy show to a political rally.
And what are you gaining from? Gaining from that? So let's say half or whatever is like, but the comedy show is now changed, and like, do you feel good? Yeah. I always wonder if those people are like, I told them.
Right, exactly.
Like, do you leave going, I brought that up, that I hate him?
Yeah, and all you're doing is, I think that too. Like, okay, so the people that are with you, they're applauding. Yeah. They're not even laughing, they're applauding.
Yeah.
Because it's not comedy anymore. And then the other people that are the opposite, do you think, what are the chances? What percentage of those people say, they got a point. You know what? You're right.
Yeah.
My mind has changed.
Yeah, and forget this comedy show. That's the other thing. You're never gonna change. I love the fact that, like, and I tell my kids, because my kids will come off the bus and go, I heard this at school, Dad, I heard that. And I go, listen, you judge people by what you see, how you feel about it.
Right.
Okay. And if you agree with that, and if somebody tells you, because like unfortunately in schools, especially during the last bitter election, which is just bitter, the kids are gonna hear things that are very certain.
Right.
Like
from their parents.
Either like, well, my dad said this.
Right.
And then they're on the bus. And then so our kids come home and go, well, so and so's dad said this. Like, what do you think? And so I just tell my kids, never judge anybody. Yeah. People may not be as good as you think. They may never be as bad as people say. So I want my kids to have the open mind that, like, everybody's a human being.
Right.
You treat people the way that you want to be treated. Eventually, I'm going to have to say there are some assholes that can't be helped.
Right.
And you have to maneuver around that, because that's just life.
Yeah, because they're just out there.
They're just out there. And there's what scares me, and I know you feel like this as a dad, it's like, there's evil out there. And like, when you hear about like the evil things that happen, and like these, whether it's mental illness or just people that want to commit crimes, or like you hear these horrible stories, people being attacked on trains with a hammer, and you're going like, you have to let your kids know, hey, like, not everybody's gonna.
Keep your eyes open.
Keep your eyes open.
I know. I remember one time walking with my kids downtown in LA, and we're going to the bookstore, the last bookstore. It's like this great shop, and we're walking with my kids and my nephews, and we're walking to the car, and it was dodgy. There's like there's some homeless stuff going on, and some not well people on the street, and my nephews were like a little concerned, and my daughter came up to me and on our way to the car, and she said, my cousins are acting like it's dangerous here, like kind of laughing it off. And I was like, yeah, they're right.
Well, yeah,
it is yeah. Odds are we're going to be fine. It's going to be cool, but they're sensing something that's very real, and you got to keep your eyes about you. And it was like, and you can see it register, like, oh, okay, it's not always going to be great. You got to keep your eyes and ears open.
It's funny you said that because we went to the Garden. I always take my kids to the Garden. Garden's one of my favorite places in the world. I'm a diehard Knicks fan.
Yeah.
And my son and I bond there. Now my daughter too, because they're both good in basketball. It's great.
Yeah.
And things are not that great around there. And I remember my son was like holding me a little tighter and closer because he started to see there was a lot of, there was a lot of hustling going on around there. There was a lot more homeless. Then you start hearing what's going on in the subway systems. Yeah. And I told her, I was like, I told my wife, like, we're not going to go to any event and go walking around. Right. And it sucks to say that about my city.
I know.
And one of the best cities, and you've done stand-up there for so long.
I lived there forever.
You lived there forever, and it's like, when this city is thriving, there's really nothing like it. And the fact that you got to worry about your kids being attacked on a train.
Well, don't you think we caught it at a really unique moment?
Oh, yeah.
Like, that moment when you were running at the stand and coming into your own as a comic, that was kind of a golden age.
It was.
At 2:30 in the morning, everybody just getting on the subways, looking like money and no worries, and
going to get a slice of walk to get a corner, get a slice after shows, and not even think twice that it's 1 a.m. Right.
Stuff in your car and not having it. Every time you parked your car in New York, before that happened, before that golden age, you would get smashed. Everyone's radios were stolen. People were putting Radio Gone on their dashboard because it was just chaos and shit. Yeah. And then we had that very pure little moment where it was very pristine and very clean and very safe. It was unique.
It was amazing.
It was amazing.
It was an amazing
Hopefully
time.
They can get back to it in some regard.
Yeah, I really hope so. I think any city as beautiful and as great and as big and grand as New York, to just kind of feel like now it's like, what did somebody say? It's like Gotham of Batman. It's like, and there's certainly, like, especially because I have some friends that are cops. Yeah. And they're going, they said, like, hey, you're going. I said, yeah, I'm taking the family down. We're going to go. He goes, you're not taking a train, are you? I said, no. He said, don't take the train. And then, like, sure enough,
don't take the train from Westchester?
Yeah, that I didn't know why he said that, because I feel like I didn't think Metro North going to Grand Central would be a problem. But what's going on in the subways? I mean, a comic was at the stand the other night going, punched in the face, spit on. What? Joe List too. Yeah. Joe List said it's almost like tried to get, like, he felt something coming, and then the guy hit the lady with a hammer, and then people are pushing people off. And it's like, it's turning into this, like, if like I don't want to go to the subway and go enter at my own risk. I know. Even if it's like 90% nothing's going to happen, but 10% chance something really bad can happen. It's like, I don't want that.
I know.
So it's and when
I'm just thinking back to my last trip there when I was lazy and just took the train down to the hotel in Soho, and I was the only person at the exit. Really? Like, yeah, it was like, that's bizarre. Yeah, and it was kind of late. It was maybe a Monday, maybe that was it. But it was like, you shouldn't be doing that anymore. The old version who just showed up in New York would never be on the subway at that time. And you wouldn't be alone. You wouldn't be alone. Yeah. And if you're going to meet one other person at that moment, it's probably not someone great. Now, do you have your favorite Italian restaurants do you have Bergen County and New York, or do you more Jersey? It's New York. Yeah. And I was just writing about this in my next book, and I was going through all of the history of great Italian restaurants that we've gone to as families and stuff. And the Supreme Macaroni Company, which is no longer there anymore, and all these great places. But the one that I'm like stuck on right now, which I go with Dave Hill, comedian Dave Hill. Okay. We go to Jean's on 11th Street, 11th and 6th, which is just red sauce. Been there since over 100 years. Oh wow. And I would go there. I lived around the corner for a while, and I found out that he goes there, and it was like two drug addicts who realized we've been going to the same dealer for our whole lives. So now I go with Dave, and it's it's like that really basic kind of, but great. You know what I mean? Yeah, it's just and you know what to expect every time. And 100%. It's the same. Gee, okay, I got to check that one out. Yeah, it's good. It's good. Yeah, I got to sit at the bar, and it's a good classic. I didn't go. Have you been to the one that's like a 6-month wait if you don't know somebody? Rayo's? Yes. Yeah, I've never been. Only tables. In Vegas. In Vegas, there's like 100 tables, and the meatballs are off the charts. Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah, I have not been to. I haven't been there either. What about Il Molino? No, I've not been.
I've not been.
That's pretty
You know, it's
great.
funny. I got Italian friends who go, this is my favorite thing about Italians.
Yeah.
Because you got an Italian friend go, no, if you want to go to Rayo's, tell me. I'll make sure.
Right.
No, there's only 6 tables and there's like a 2-year wait list. But I know, trust me.
I get you.
Yeah, I actually have a friend who actually does apparently have a hookup with that. But I would definitely like to do it.
Let's do it.
You know what I never got into until now? This is bizarre. Eggplant and eggplant parm. So this whole eggplant parm thing is like new in my life.
Right.
So eggplant is just hitting me like a tidal wave.
Yeah.
Because I didn't realize a good eggplant. So there was like
amazing.
There was this place that had the thin bread. It's so thin, and the layers and the sauce. And I said to my wife, I go, this isn't. What happened to eggplant?
Where was
eggplant?
Where was I?
And I figured out why.
Why?
My mother would keep the skin on it. So some people keep the outer layer on it.
Yep.
And when I was little, I cut it. That was the problem.
That's right.
So now it's like, and it's funny. It kind of come full circle when you're young. So eggplant to me was like, oh, that black stringy stuff. I don't, because my mom would slice them in discs.
And they were right, exactly.
She would slice them in the discs, and the black or purple outer would, and it ruined it for me. Now I had it like without that and lean.
Yep.
Oh, dude.
Lean, and then when you make it, you put it in the colander, and you dredge it. You just put salt on it and just leave it. And all of the moisture, bitterness comes out of it.
Wow.
And you leave it for like an hour, and all of the bitterness just drains from it. And now you've got these thin slices. When you get it really done well, and you can just take your fork and go through all those layers without moving the rest of it. Then you're like,
and this is like, it's new in my life, and I'm so grateful.
So great.
It's almost like when somebody tells you didn't see that movie, and then they're jealous because they know you're going to experience it. That's what's happening with me with eggplant, and I'm so excited about it.
It's so great.
Eggplant parm is so underrated because the go-tos are the chicken, and and my dad's a big veal guy,
right?
But there was a place he still talks about under the train. Remember the tram that went to Roosevelt Island?
Yeah.
There was a place. I think it was on like 60 something or 59th Street, right under it, called Eduardo's.
And
it was
Il Vagabondo. That's the bocce place.
Oh, okay. So there was something called the veal that they had. It was called Veal Eduardo, and my dad took us, and I remember to this day there was like this brownish cream sauce on top of the veal, and I remember, and I was I was young, but I remember how incredible it was. Apparently Sinatra went in there and loved it so much that they named it Veal Sinatra, and then the place ended up going under. But that's another one that my dad said he can't, not under, but just after. I think it was one of those that was there 80 years, and then it had its run. But my dad said to this day he can't get that. He said he's had something that resembles it, but he can't. That's what I mean. Like, Italians are the only people. It's so nuts.
I know.
Because you'll listen to somebody go like, remember Patrick Ewing had that shot? I mean, but they'll remember. They'll talk about 100%. A meal, like, I remember, and you know what they're big on too? Either how wedding cocktail hours are. That's a big one. No, they were cheap, but that's what I love. No, they could, but then there was one like, no, they had a tower of shrimp, and it was before you even got to the meal. It was unbelievable, and they're like proud.
100%.
It's my favorite thing in the world.
I'll close with this. I had one last story. The Italian guy loving food, like seeing that guy, big Italian guy enjoying food is like nothing else. I was in a restaurant in New York on, like in the 12th, 13th Street on Broome Street, not Broome Street, off Hudson. And I forget, I'm spacing on the name of it, but that's where Gandolfini would eat with his family.
Oh, wow.
And at one point, we were there, and he was at the end of a table, his whole family around him, all his kids and everybody else, and he had the napkin tucked into his shirt, and he's just hovering over a meal and just plowing it, and like laughing, like looking, just like out of The Sopranos.
Oh my God! Watching that,
a perfect one.
It's a perfect one. So I think I don't want to be rude, but I want to start documenting these.
I know.
Like if I could just have a picture of the guy, like just not even to make fun of him, just to be like, you're enjoying this in your life.
This should be a coffee book, a coffee table book.
It's so, and why not? You know what? If that's what's going to give you the pleasure.
Oh,
why?
God.
I mean, there's worse things to be. The fact that you just love food and you just
so great.
Oh, it's the best.
The best.
It's
well,
the best,
thank you so much for doing this. This was really perfect. I'm literally. I mean, because we don't hang out. We haven't hung out a ton.
No.
But I knew that we would sit down and have this, and it would be just go. I didn't even have to prepare. I didn't have to do anything.
No.
I knew this was going to be so much fun.
I think we've hung about 2 or 3 times, whether it would be Montreal or a cigar or talking in a green room in Montreal. But like you're always just so delightful, nice, funny, easy to talk to. So I really appreciate you having me on. I really enjoyed it, man. The
awesome.
best.
We'll spend some time in northern New Jersey or lower Westchester.
You know what we should do? We should eat an Italian meal in New York when you're there.
Yeah, that would be perfect.
And we'll go to a good spot. Yeah.
All right.
Thank you for having me.
All right.
All right.
All right, so there it is. There's Paul Virzi. I told you we touched on everything, right? I don't think there's anything more for us to do than to hook up in New York and go out for a great meal together and then give you the rundown of what we did. Great comedian. Go to paulvirzi.com, look up all of his stuff. He's going to have a big announcement in a little while. Great comedian to have on your radar. If you just like comedy, and of course we'll have him back here to talk about more things, food and Italiano and delis and wine. That was the only shortcoming, is that we didn't break open the wine, but you can't drive home drunk all the time. Never, kids, never. All right, thank you so much for listening. Thank you for being here. Like and subscribe and all that good stuff. Keep spreading the word. When people responded off of our good friend David Newman from the Olive Oil podcast, he was so grateful, and I want to extend that to you. He was so grateful that we had such a great response, and he got to all these people turned on to his book and his olive oil, and it just shows me that the community is growing and it's becoming more powerful, and we're really getting the most out of this. I want us to enjoy it. I want us to get everything we can out of this podcast by talking to funny people, talented people, celebrating food and comedy. It doesn't get better than that. All right, I have to go because I have bread that has been sitting on the counter too long. It's going to overproof, so I've got to get it into the fridge or else I'm going to blow it, and I don't want to be mad at myself. So until next time, see you around.